Hi, my name is Lauren, and this is my presentation on my soapbox packaging. In this project, I explored branding and logos by making a soapbox packaging for a certain customer persona. I created a brand and a product for the company Wonderland. The final goal of this project was to create a cool packaging for a target customer. The customer I chose was Olivia. Olivia is 17 years old and enjoys baking. She is also an environmentalist who is very health conscious. Olivia works at a yoga studio and values efficiency. Branding is what other people think about you, your company, your product, or your service. In this project, I use visual, emotion, and verbal branding elements. For the verbal branding, I use the name Environ to show that my brand is environmentally friendly. The goal of the emotion element was to make the customer feel joy. The visual aspect I used was watercolored lemons.
Here's the mood board that I created for this project in order to make sure that my customer felt a certain way when they looked at the box.
The 7 different logo types I used were an abstract mark, a mascot logo, a combination mark, an emblem logo, a letter mark, a pictorial mark, and a word mark. The 2-color logo design I used was a combination mark. I used different shades of blue because the psychology of color says that 95% of big brand logos use 1 or 2 colors and 30% use the color blue. This is the template I made for the box. I used shapes, math, and borders to create this. This was the base of the final product. After creating this in Gravit, we printed them out and constructed the box in order to see what the box would look like.
This is the template all put together. To put it together, we use glue, scissors, and folding. This is the base, so it's pretty plain and it doesn't have any design on it.
This is the Stylescape I created for my soapbox packaging. In this, I put together colors, photos, textures, and typography to fit the customer persona and the story that goes with the product. The story created was meant to take the customer back to their home. The kitchen is a place where many families gather and spend quality time together. The lemons were meant to add a sense of freshness because the company is environmentally friendly and organic. This is the flat Gravit design of my soapbox. This is where I put all the branding, elements, ingredients, cautions, and directions. By using Gravit, I was able to design my box and experiment with different fonts and placements of text and images. My final soapbox constructed. I used a kitchen background and other props to illustrate the story and the branding of the product. I intended for my audience to see an organized soapbox with fresh, bright colors. The audience should think about their home, nature, and the environment. It should also give them a sense of freshness. I think that the most successful aspects of my artwork was the watercolor and the typography on the front of the box. I really liked how the colors came together and how it looks overall. I was inspired by my customer's interests because she liked the environment. The lemons seemed like a natural option that would go along with my brand. While creating this artwork, I learned how to properly size images and lock them in place. I also learned how to convert paths. I learned that you can change the opacity of an image and you can also flip pages on Gravit. Overall, I have learned how much time, thought, and effort it takes to make a brand and a product. I think that all the things that I've learned in class so far have come together in this project. I have learned that the colors, images, and typography are extremely important when trying to create a product for a certain customer persona.
Like I said before, during this project I learned how to use opacity. Opacity is when you can change how dark or how see-through an image is. I used this technique for the front of my box so that the lemons would not overpower the typography. To the left, you can see the watercolor that I made for the image. I made this using different shades of color and then scanning it and putting it on Gravit. To the right, you can see some of the struggles that I went through. The picture at the top shows that I did not make the page the right way, and when I put it together it was actually upside down, and then the bottom picture is showing that some of the words were not clear.